We are with Dr. C.A. Tripp, a psychologist who is, as a matter of fact, in private practice in New York City, and as we've established, was associate of Kinsey in the early 50s, or knew him. I'm sure you were a young man at the time. I should also say that Dr. Tripp is the author of The Homosexual Matrix, a very important research study on the issue of homosexuality. Yes?
I'd like to know, have you ever heard of Marriage Encounter?
Yeah,
and my question is, Marriage Encounter is built around communication, and I've been married to my husband for 7.5 years. I didn't know him as well as I know him now, and our sex life couldn't be better.
Yeah. Doctor, let me in here for just a second, and we're running out of time, but you cannot say that communication is somehow not a good idea. I mean, if...
I'm all for love, I'm all for communication, but if you want it to last longer than you can snap your fingers, you'd better watch out about the distance problem.
Okay, but show me two people who can't talk to each other, who can't share feelings, and I'll show you a relationship that is doomed.
Yes, don't make it ridiculous. By the way, it isn't necessarily doomed.
That there's too much closeness that could cause trouble, because my mother always told me what they don't know won't hurt them, and I always thought to tell them everything. And I found out telling them everything causes a lot of problems.
Really? So you hold back now?
Oh, yeah. Don't tell them nothing.
Yes.
It seems that we're talking about two kinds of sex and intimacy, like the carry me across the threshold, and
the quiet man, John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, sort of throw her on the bed.
But after you've had 2 kids and you got a mortgage, and it's different.
I know, it
yes,
is different.
It is.
All right, he wants to say, though, that that difference can undermine intimacy, and it's something we should monitor, and at least...
Yeah, but you can form a different kind of intimacy.
That's true.
I think it's better quality than the first.
But you have to continually manage this distance thing, your own tendency to hover near the other person, to be too possessive, or your own tendency to be too far away. Obviously, the best relationships are always going to be at an optimal distance, but that never means this, except for moments of sex.
Yes.
Afterwards, you immediately have to do this.
Yes.
When we get through running around, hitting here and there, and waking up asking, what is your name, is this going to make our marriage work?
He says yes. I mean...
What I say, no, I don't. Whether it works or not is dependent on 50,000 personal features of your own. Yeah. I'm just trying to warn you about a certain particular dip in the road that you need to take certain precautions about.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty simple. Just keep mystery in your marriage.
That's very good if you can do it.
Yes.
Mystery or distance or resistance or aggressiveness or even put up affectionate abuse, anything that separates.
Running out of time.
Well, I read in one of the bridal magazines where they interviewed the call girls, and they said the one thing that made the husbands come to them was they kept having the same thing day after day. Do you believe that's one of the reasons?
Yes, it certainly is, but I'm being stoned for that idea at the moment.
Yes. Yes, we're back here, Doctor.
I agree with you, Doctor. I think your premise is well taken, because the forbidden fruit is always more interesting, but I also think your premise is impossible. You cannot live and love with a man for 36 years and not be his friend. I can't.
It's very nice when you're the friend. And you can have that part. I say it for the 50th time, you can have all that if you're careful to reestablish a little bit of distance. I don't care if you call it feminine mystique or what you call it.
After 41 years, I agree with the doctor. Also, I think he's my friend, but not my best friend.
Right.
I never thought I'd see the day when that would get a hand. Let's get this straight. You are very uncomfortably close to suggesting that somehow rape has somehow a justified neurotic purpose for its presence.
No, not unless the victim wants to be raped. Quite a few people like that in fantasy.
Well, then we're not talking about...
I'm not going to let you get away with that. Masters and Johnson showed that in their heterosexual females there were often rape fantasies, by the way, in the males too, so that a good deal of force is hooked on to sexual excitement.
Well, but except if you want to be raped, that's not rape. Let us understand what rape is.
It's symbolic.
Rape is an act of violence which can never, for any reason, be condoned.
Nobody's going to condone that.
All right, but I'm not suggesting you're condoning it. I'm suggesting that your position certainly makes muddy that particular...
position is supposed to make clear that there is a major hazard in the road that people are continually told is not there.
All right, let's also get this straight, because this is really important. A person who fantasizes about rape, as I have discussed with Masters and Johnson and others, this isn't me, I'm not that smart, but they want to make this point. The fantasizer is in charge of the fantasy.
Absolutely.
And that is a hell of a lot different than those countless, helpless victims who find themselves in the company of a person they've never seen before who has an act of violence on his mind.
Oh, that's all true.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Yeah, I want to talk. Go ahead.
I wanted to know what his definition of a friend was.
Oh, a friend is somebody that you're tremendously intimate with, that you enjoy the company of, and you will find is never any good in the bedroom.
Yes.
I would like to know, the way you're expressing yourself, you make it sound as if you're an actor or an actress, you'll do well in your marriage. And if you look at the actors and actresses in Hollywood, you obviously can tell that that hasn't worked.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I just want to get this in before we go. You've done an exhaustive study on homosexuality, and I just want you to share with us one feature of it that surprised me. Those cultures which honor and reward male courage, bravery, aggressiveness, football prowess, athletic ability, are those cultures which will promote homosexuality.
Oh yes, the homosexuality tends to be especially high there because you're encouraging the eroticization of same-sex attributes, which is what it's all about. Both these kinds of issues and the things that we've been talking about really are in my book. You don't have to buy it, but you should check it out of the library, The Homosexual Matrix. Look for the heterosexual chapter and the homosexual chapters and see for yourself.
All right. I have prepared a brilliant summary of today's program, and I just won't have time to give it. Will you please accept my apologies to those who did not have an opportunity to share in this? I know that there are thousands of people here who want to express their views. May I invite you to do that personally, because we are out of time. Please feel free to step forward and chat with Dr. Tripp. To those of you who have watched us around the country, we thank you. We hope you're enjoying our visit in St. Louis as much as we are. Goodbye, everybody.